Baker nailed on the head. The turnovers. The turnovers were a big issue, and the Raiders have been a team that haven't been very good in the second half, and actually they've struggled mightily in the second half, and they were able to overcome that for the first time this season and be productive in the second half. But it's one of the things that Baker did really well in college was protect the football. And one of the problems that the Browns have consistently had over the years is not being able to protect the football and having those self-inflicted wounds, and that's something that he's going to have to overcome moving forward.
The key to the game was the short field the Raiders on. The Raiders didn't have to go 20 yards on the second touchdown inside the 10-yard line on the first fumble. I think that was in the third quarter. I thought that Todd Haley and Hugh Jackson, that they did a disservice to Baker by on that first series when they had the ball backed up inside the 10, the first play they called was a pass play. Now, the right tackle gets knocked into Baker, pressure and everything, but if I run the ball, you can't get pressure. All right, I'm going to run the ball on them first 2 downs. I might throw the ball on second down, but I'm going to run the ball. I got a 2-touchdown lead. There was no pass play for me with that field position that I'm going to put that young guy in the black hole, backed up in that end zone. Those are the loudest positions for those tackles to be in, and you could see that the seepage on that right side of the tackle, you got a rookie quarterback. Help him out. Run the football. You got a 2-touchdown lead in those situations. Even if you run it 3 times and punt, you're not going to lose it. If they don't turn the ball over in those 2 possessions, they win that game. The game doesn't get to overtime.
They had plenty of opportunities to win. Baker, who I thought actually, aside from the turnovers, and that's a big but I get that, played well, made some really good throws. They scored 42 points. But they also had the ball to start overtime, and they couldn't go down and get points themselves. There are a lot of reasons Cleveland lost this game. But despite all those reasons, if not for 2 horrifying officiating mistakes. One of them is as bad of a call as I've ever seen, the in the grasp. I mean, it is a strip sack. The moment the defender, it was Myles Garrett and 55, converge on Carr, and I think in this ongoing effort to make sure we're always protecting the quarterback, they called it in the grasp. He was never grasped. He was the defensive end came around, hit the ball. That's a touchdown the other way with 6 minutes left with the Browns already leading. And then late in the game, they use replay in a way it is not meant for, where they use replay. Replay is there to fix obvious mistakes. I think they made a mistake by changing the call. It certainly was not clear and obvious or overwhelming video evidence. So despite all those things, if not for 2 bad referee mistakes, one of them, the in the grasp, just unforgivable, the Browns win this football game. Like that, and as a coach like Hugh Jackson coaching for his job, like the lives are affected by this stuff. I don't know how you can justify that for those officials in that football game.
Look, there's officiating calls that we disagree with every single week, every single season, and then at the end of the season, it goes to the competition committee and we discuss it. That happens. Marshawn Lynch, they blew the play dead early when he was still running, and who knows where that run would have gone. And you could keep going back and forth and saying it was this call, it was that call. But at the end of the day, the Browns made enough mistakes to allow the Raiders back in the game in a situation where they shouldn't have. It shouldn't have happened. And Baker's right. The turnovers at the end of the day are what killed him.
Coach, but quickly, you're right that we don't know what would have happened after the Marshawn play, and we don't know what would have happened after the in the grasp, which was a strip sack. We do know that if they don't overturn that first down, it's game over. It was kneel down time after that. We do know that, and that's, I would have to imagine as a coach, that is maddening. You run the play, you appear to get the first down, they appear to make a good spot, and then a booth review corrects something that doesn't look like it was wrong.
But if they went to the booth and they corrected it, they obviously felt it was wrong. And I'd be sick as a coach if they didn't go to the booth and they didn't correct it. You can look at it from either side. You could look at it from John Gruden's perspective or Hugh Jackson's perspective. And from John Gruden's perspective, they did the right thing. They went and tried to look at a call that was a game-deciding call, and at the end of the day, come out in the right place. And to me, that's what replay is supposed to be. Is it's supposed to make sure at the end of the day, everybody's getting a fair opportunity to have the game officiated correctly.
See, how much of this loss would you place on Baker Mayfield and those turnovers?
It's a combination. I mean, if you call a play, it's every coach I ever told me said, if I call a play, I believe that you can handle it. So some of it's on the player. He knows he's up by he knows he's up by 2 touchdowns. The problem is there's not a lot of people there have won games. That was a typical time. A team does not know how to win. So Baker don't know how to win the NFL. As much as he won at Oklahoma, there ain't no carryover. How you close out games in the Big 12 compared to how you close them out in the NFL.
So is that on Todd Haley then?
Well, I'm going to spread the blame around. If the coach calls a pass play to me, it's my responsibility to try to execute that pass play as much as possible. All right? It's also up to the coaches that we're in unison that we tried to run the best thing. It's the right tackle's fault. It's Baker's fault. And it's the coordinator's fault. So we have to spread the blame around. It's not Todd Haley's fault. All the pass plays are good. I would have just helped the kid out. We're backed up in the black hole. We're up by 2 points. No, 2 touchdowns. Run the football. There's a way to win football games, and there's a way to lose football games. Watch Cleveland, take it to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, roll it out. That's the classic way to lose a football game, by having a young quarterback turn it over in the 3rd and 4th quarter.
And then you get the early 2-point conversions at the start of the game. You wonder,
absolutely,
why are you making those decisions at that point in the game? And you go and you kick the extra point. We're not even dealing with overtime. I mean, that's another thing that happened so early in the game.
Then the refs aren't involved.
Yeah, and so many other things happened after that. But you could look back at those and say, okay, well, why would you make that decision at that point? And you could argue, hey, we're being aggressive. We're, like going for it on 4th and 5 and from your own 42-yard. You could go down that track as well. And there's an argument for that, too, if that's your philosophy. But at the end of the day, there's those decisions that you have to factor in.
Cleveland right now sitting at 1-2-1, and all 4 of those games, they at some point in the 4th quarter were favorites to win, heavy favorites to win. Like, I know it's too much to expect they could be 4-0, but they haven't lost decisively yet. But to C's point, like, they have found ways to lose or tie games that are almost new each week.
All right, Coach, stick around. Coming up, have the Patriots fixed all their problems on offense. That's next on First Things First.